All right, welcome everybody to Friday, week 2. And if you don't have the CSI 1 rule, then you are not going to get counted for attendance. So anybody who got a 0 on attendance that thinks they were there, the reason for that is because either you didn't have the CSI 1 rule or your last name wasn't in your username. So I've said this a couple times, that oftentimes the only way students notice is when they see the 0 on their grade, and then like, what happened? Like, well, that's why. So if you got a 0 on the grade and you were here, just message me. Like I said, I'm not a mean guy. I'll give you the points, but that's the reason why. You know, I don't give people 0 just out of hand. You know what I mean? Okay, so Brian, I just tagged you with a CSI 1. So I just tagged you, Brian, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, let's unlock down the lecture room here. Okay, so what I was working on this week was a game jam. So this is something that itch.io does all the time. If you guys are into game development, basically they'll do a very short-term game jam. They post some theme. This one's theme was running out of space. And then for this one, you had a week to do it. You had a week to make a game. And it was sponsored by a bunch of companies. You got a bunch of free stuff just for participating in it. If you guys want to learn how to do game development, by the way, you can take my class. I do teach it. But there is this learning course that's free for the next 2 weeks or something like that. It's available, for another 14 days. So if you're curious about learning game development, this is actually a pretty thorough introduction to Unreal Engine. It's about 4 hours long, and it was a little basic for me, but I did still learn some stuff in it. There's Unreal Engine's gigantic, so that was probably worth your time if you're interested in getting into that kind of stuff. And if you find that you can't sit down for 4 hours to learn a learning path, that's fine. I do teach it myself. Okay, so can you put a link to the website? Yeah, I just linked the. Oh, you want the itch.io thing? Yeah, it's the learning path I just posted on Discord, and then here's the link to the Mega Jam, and it's got all the different free stuff you get, and tons of free assets and textures and sounds, and Quixel's always free, but it has like high resolution textures. And if you win the game jam, everybody on your project gets a 3090 graphics card. That's pretty nice. I don't think we're gonna win. I don't think we're gonna win at all. Like I ended up building only about a third of what I want to do for the final project. Definitely not gonna win. I don't even think we met the theme. Honestly, the theme of running out of space. The theme here, I didn't quite get to that part. The design of my game was actually pretty cool. I think it was novel, where it was a first-person shooter, but with 2 people. And so one person is literally inside of the other person, like Ant-Man or Honey, I Shrunk the Kids or Inner Space or Osmosis Jones or all these movies where people, or what's that anime? Cells at Work, right? So the second player would be like buffing the first player, and like when you got clawed by a zombie, like bacteria would come in and the person on the inside would have to fight off the bacteria. That was my game design, and I'm still like excited for it. But as it turns out, working as a professor full-time does actually limit the amount of time you have. I was able to accomplish about a third of the game. If you want to play it, I posted it on the general chat channel, and you can download it and play it. But first place would have been a 3090. That would have been nice, because I was in it, and my daughter was in it too, so that would have been 2 3090s. Could have SLI'd them or something, I don't know. Second place was a nice Core i9 processor. Third place was a Core i7, and a 3070 and a 3080. Yeah. And this one came with a NUC, which is a little tiny computer like this big. So I don't think I don't think there's room in it for a 3090, so I don't know why they would pair those things up. But there you go. And so these kinds of things are actually a lot of fun, and it's a great way of getting experience making games and getting into that groove. So if you guys like video games, making video games isn't exactly the same thing. Like, you can like video games all you want and be terrible at making games, and vice versa. Like, there's a lot of people that just don't play video games that make video games. And I tend to think that their games suck. But, whatever, they work at EA, it's alright. Yeah, so cells at work, yeah. Yeah, so if you want to check it out, you can do that. Alright. That I was looking at Roblox games. Yeah, that's another way you can get into game development and stuff like that. So, yeah, tons and tons of rewards and stuff. So, yeah, we're not going to win, guaranteed, but it was still a fun process to go through. Don't update my VPN right now. I'm lecturing. Thank you. All right, so our topic for today is 5 theories of truth. And, yeah, Ghost, what's it called? Ghost Canyon, something like that. So it's a pretty high-end machine, actually. And has a 2070 inside of it. Core i9. Yeah, it's like a itty-bitty little computer, and it's kind of cool. So, I don't think it'll fit a 3090. I could be wrong. But those things look just physically too small. I think you need to get an enclosure for it or something. Okay. Oh, you like the wallpaper? Yeah. Wallpaper Engine. My #1 most played game recently, I think. EA, how about another FIFA reskin for another $60? Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Now my face is vanishing. What's going on? Hello? Resume slideshow? Oh, I see. No? Why are you not? That's fine. Okay. Okay, so I'm waiting to pre-purchase Madden 21. You do you. You do you. Okay. So last time we talked about a priori and a posteriori, which are the two big schools of thought on how you can know something to be true. One is through thinking it through and reasoning about it and stuff like that. And the other one is a posteriori. Most people don't limit themselves to just one, but at the same time, most people tend to have a preference for one over the other, right? So it's not like scientists can't use math, you know what I mean? And it's not like people that do math ignore everything in the real world. I mean, I've met math people like that. I've met philosophers like that too. Guys like, yeah, I just don't think colors exist, man. And it's like, I kind of get what you're saying, color is just an illusion in the brain. Photons don't carry color, they're just photons. Yeah, I get that, but at the same time, he was my professor, actually. It's like, yeah, I have a blind friend that can touch clothing and tell what color it is. And I'm like, no, I don't think you can, dude. He's like, is color a texture? I'm like, no, it's really it's really not. So I've definitely met people that are very much one or the other, but by and large, people, color's a lie, black and white's the way to go. Yeah. By and large, people kind of use a little bit of both, but at the same time, most people tend to have I'm more scientifically minded or I'm more logically minded. But again, they're not contradictory. You can use both. It's okay. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about the 5/6/7 theories of truth and giving examples from each of them. And so these are the different things that people think truth means. What does it mean to be true? And we were getting into it a little bit last time, and I was having you guys kind of express your thoughts on it. I'm going to give you the answer. In a philosophy, there's never there's such thing as the answer, usually. There's schools of thought and people arguing over the past 2,000 years over which one of these theories is better or right, or maybe it's right in some circumstances and not others. So I'll just run through them and then we can talk about it. So correspondence theory is very commonly used by people who are scientifically minded, right? That which is true is that which corresponds to reality. That's why it's called correspondence theory. Okay? That which is true is that what corresponds to reality. It is true that I have a screen cleaner on my bookshelf right now. I can point at it. I can rotate my camera around right here, and there you go. That's a screen cleaner. There you go, screen cleaner. I got a crazy looking router back there, and then split unit AC over there. And now all of you know I'm not lying to you about the screen cleaner because I have shown it to you to be true. There is, in fact, a screen cleaner on my bookshelf right now. It corresponds to reality. Now it's not true. Now I have a screen cleaner in my hand, right? So these truths are often temporally bound, right? At the moment when I said I have a screen cleaner on my bookshelf, I had a screen cleaner on my bookshelf, but if I take it off, then it's no longer true, or, you know what I mean? Need caloric swipes, yeah. Yeah, just be careful what you put on your computer screens. That's all I gotta say. All right, so do you guys understand correspondence theory? It's probably the most straightforward and it's maybe the most commonly used one, I would say. Or if you were to just ask a kid, like, is it true that snow is white? That's a little bit too low. Let's put this up a little bit more. Is it true that snow's white? They'd be like, yeah. I'm like, how do you know? Well, look at it. It's white. You know? Snow is yellow. Yeah, don't eat yellow snow, right? Or brown snow. It's off limits. Yes, you guys get what I'm saying? Like, do I have a screen cleaner on my bookshelf? Yes, that's true. It's true. It is true that I have a screen cleaner on my bookshelf right now. Well, how do you know? There it is. You know, I can point the camera around again and show it to you. Okay. Is it true that the sky is blue? That's actually an interesting question. Is it true that the sky is blue? Let's say we're using correspondence theory, right? Let's put on our correspondence theory hats. I'll be correspondence theorists right now. Is it true that the sky is blue? Not in Fresno. It's yellow. Sky is black at night, right? Like, so that's I would say it's false that the sky is blue, right? You might qualify the statement and say, like, on a sunny day, on a sunny clear day with no atmospheric pollution on Earth, the sky is blue. Like, you could probably qualify it to some point that I'd probably agree with you. No clouds, no atmospheric haze, no ash falling from the sky, Fresno. It used to happen less frequently and seems to be happening every summer now. Or you just go outside and there's a layer of ash just everywhere. Yeah, but at daytime, right? Because at nighttime, the sky's black. You know, so people who say the sky is blue, it's like, are you only awake at daytime? You know, have you not been out at night? Like, get out more. Go to a bar. You know, it's multicolored at sunset. You know, so that's, and snow, you know, technically isn't white either. Like, snow is clear. Like, if you look at a snowflake, it's clear, right? So snow is only white in sort of aggregate. You know, when you put a bunch of snowflakes together, it looks white to us because it's reflecting all the different spectra of light around. But if you get really close to it, you see sparkles on it and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I actually don't even know if it's true that snow is white. You know, you could probably qualify that statement too. Like, you know, given sufficient snowflakes with no pollution or dirt or pee in it, whoever it was talking about yellow snow. Snow in aggregate is white. You know, like you could probably qualify a little bit more, but you know, snow is technically clear. You know, maybe, I don't know. It gets you know, philosophers will sit there and slice these statements up. You know, like, but is it true that snow is white? And you're like, yeah. Is it? Here's snow in my hand right now. It melted. It looks clear to me. Well, it's not snow anymore. Okay, well, here, let me freeze it. Well, that's ice. Okay, let's get a scoop of snow and look at it really close. Okay, it's clear. But no, look at it further away. And so philosophers can just drive you to, you know, distraction sometimes. But it's part of the fun. It's part of the fun. I highly recommend you take a philosophy class. Still looks white instead of it is white. Yeah, that's actually a good way of putting it. Yeah, that's a good one. Quitter. Which yeah. Might be your name. I don't know. And I'm sorry if I'm making fun of your name. I'm not. But yeah, no, it's actually a really good point, which is, you know, snow looks white. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah. Why is Shammy pooping? Why? Yeah, he was my TA for a number of classes, and his Discord status update has been pooping for about I don't know, 2 years now. So I don't know what to tell you. I asked him about it. He just said somebody was like making fun of him for like responding too long or something like that, and so he just put that on. And yeah, no. Okay, I want to food color snow yellow and then show others I'm eating yellow snow now. You're a mad man. All right. So, coherence theory. Coherence theory is very commonly used in math. If any of you guys have taken a math class where you've learned about axioms, axioms? Have you heard of that phrase before, an axiom in math? It's something that you assume to be true, and then you prove that other things are true because they cohere with the axioms? What's a plural of axioms? What is the plural of axiom? Axioms, or axiomata. Ooh, that's a cool word. Axiomata. Bust that out the next time you're in a math class. Sir, if these axiomata are true, then I can prove that. It's awesome. He still hasn't recovered from Taco Bell. Yeah. Yeah. So, in math, you start with like some things you know to be true. And how do you know those to be true? You just kind of, they're either self-evident, like it's just obvious that this is true, and I don't need to prove it, it's just obvious, I don't know. And then like two parallel lines can't touch, right? That would be one of the axioms, axiomata of Euclidean geometry, right? So, axioms of Euclidean geometry. For 2,000 years, people believed that only one geometry was possible. Then somebody put geometry on a sphere. It didn't work anymore. A straight line may be drawn between any two points. A straight line may be extended indefinitely. A circle may be drawn with any given point as the center and any given radius. All right angles are the same. And, yeah. So, yeah, if two straight lines in a plane are met by another line, and some of the eternal angles on one side is the rest, and it's equal to the sum. For any point given on a given line, there's exactly one point through the line that does not meet the given line. Yeah, so basically about the two parallel lines won't touch, right? And then somebody put that on a, if you wrap the plane on a sphere or something like that, then you get what's called non-Euclidean geometry. And you get something totally different as a result. So, basically, yeah, there's a South Park episode with like Bono from U2 or something like that. Yeah. The guy ate a lot of P.F. Chang's. Good stuff. Good food. Anyway, so yeah, so when doing math, we typically use coherence theory. Something is true if it coheres to what we know to be true. So if we know that 1 plus 1 is true, then I can, and I know what an integer is, then I can prove to you that 2 plus 1 is 3. Right? So like if I have a good definition for what an integer is and what addition is, or all the arithmetic operators, doesn't matter, then I can prove to you that 2 plus 2 equals 4. Or I can prove to you that 2 plus 3 is 5, And so how do you know it's true? Well, I know what addition is, I know what a number is, therefore I can prove this to be true using these other things I know to be true. You guys understand? Well, how do you know that arithmetic works? It's obvious. It's just obvious. How do you know what a number is? It's obvious. Self-evidently true. And about 100 years ago, that caused a problem because people started looking at the foundations of math, and they realized we have no idea why any of this works. And that was a fun debate that went on for about 20 years. Chipotle, yeah, that one too. South Park. So, in real life, though, we use this all the time, right? If I were to tell you that, something that's plausible but not true. If I were to tell you that Harry Truman was into hentai, right? President of the U.S. right after World War II, he had a secret anime addiction, right? Actually, no, that was probably before the rise of modern anime. Let's see. Carter. Yeah. So let me throw out something. It's false, by the way. I'm just going to tell you this in advance. It's false. But if you're reading online, it's like Carter had a secret hentai addiction, right? You'd probably be like, I don't know. That doesn't sound right to me. You know what I mean? Like, it would immediately, like, raise a bunch of red flags in your brain, like, yeah, that doesn't sound right. You know? And, yeah, so Carter... No, actually, I don't want to search for Carter hentai. It will probably turn up something that will disfigure my brain. But we use it all the time because we have a set of facts in our brain, right? And you guys are bad. There's a set of facts you have in your brain, right? And if a new fact comes in, we sort of test it out. You know what I mean? New fact comes in. Does this kind of match what we know already? Right? So if somebody worked at the White House under Trump and said Trump was mean to me, right? He wasn't nice. People would be like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it sort of matches, you know. Trump made a mean tweet about me. Okay. You know. Like, in general, like, it's just, if it matches kind of what we know, then it's like, okay, you know, welcome to the club. You know, I believe you. But if somebody was like, yeah, you know, Trump does ballet, then people would be like, that doesn't match what I know already. You know, I'm going to need more evidence on this. You know what I mean? And so this is actually one of the reasons why bias is so important in critical thinking, right? Republicans tend to believe good things about Republicans. Democrats tend to believe good things about Democrats. Libertarians believe good things about libertarians. Marxists believe good things about Marxists. They don't like believing bad things about people they like. Trump was in Home Alone 2. That's actually true. Yeah, that's actually true. Bill Clinton, yeah. Yeah, there's a documentary going on right now about, or not a documentary, like a drama about Clinton and the Lewinsky scandal. And that was actually a good example of coherence theory in practice, right? I was alive at the time. Probably most of you guys weren't. And Clinton was a reasonably popular figure in America. Democrats loved him. Republicans kind of hated him. Probably... Yeah, that was probably where that modern trend, like with Clinton, is really where a lot of the divisiveness in modern... We always had divisiveness. Like, don't listen to people that say, back in the day, politicians were nice to each other. You should see, like, Hamilton and, like, Jefferson going at it with each other. Like, Jefferson called Hamilton the son of a whore, you know, and, like, maybe it was true, you know? Like, it was nasty even back then. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, don't put on rose-colored glasses. But, like, in modern times, we impeached Bill Clinton. Why? Because he said under oath, I did not have sexual relations with that woman, referring to Monica Lewinsky. Right? Was that a true statement? Hey, it's relevant. Look, was it true that Bill Clinton did not have sexual relations with that woman? That's a great question, actually, because he did not actually have PIV sex with Lewinsky. And that's how he meant it. And then people interpreted it to mean I had no sexy time at all with her. And he was found guilty of... Well, he was not found guilty. He was impeached for perjury, for lying under oath, based on that statement. And at first, they denied everything. And Democrats believed them because they're our team. We believe that he would not do anything wrong. And Republicans were like, I believe all the stories because it's our political enemy. Then DNA evidence came out that Lewinsky did have sexy times with Bill Clinton. And boom, big explosion. This is when the internet was first like a thing. AOL and dial-up and all this stuff was coming on. The mainstream media tried covering for him. Basically, none of the news stories were covering it. Like, they're just trying to keep it on the down low. It's like, it's just a sex scandal. It's not important. We're just going to clamp on it. And the internet broke the story. And so a site called Drudge News ran all these stories. It became viral. It was like one of the first viral news stories. And eventually there was so much public pressure on it that the media had to cave to the pressure and started covering the story. Clinton got impeached for perjury. Senate found him not guilty. It was a Democrat-controlled Senate. There was no chance he was going to be found guilty. And so that sort of spawned this modern divisiveness in politics, and Trump got impeached twice, right? Newt Gingrich, who is the Republican Speaker of the House, sort of created this big us versus them division in politics that has just kind of gone worse. If you look at the views of Republicans towards Democrats and the views of the Democrats towards Republicans, it's bifurcated, right? Like the views of we like our people, we don't like their people, has gone like this over the past 20 years. And I don't know if that's healthy or not, but to come back to the point of coherence theory, it's like, if it's your team and somebody says something bad about your team, and it doesn't matter, like politics even, it's just like, somebody says Fresno State sucks, well, I don't know. I don't know what your opinions are in Fresno State, but like, if you're like, yeah, Fresno State, woo, and somebody's like, Fresno State sucks, you're like, no, it doesn't, and show me your facts, and all that stuff. We tend to reject things that don't match what we know in our head. But if somebody's like, Fresno State's in Fresno, you're like, yes, it is, and you don't need to ask them for evidence, because it just matches what you know. You guys understand? Is it though? Yes. Is Clovis Community College, where I teach, is that in Clovis? There's a question for you guys. Because we have the city of Fresno and the city of Clovis. I teach full-time at Clovis Community College. Is Clovis Community College in Clovis? Or is it in New Mexico? Because there's one there too. It's in Madera. Where is space? How can we define that Fresno is Fresno? Nope. Clovis Community College is not actually in Clovis. Clovis is across the street. So Clovis Community College is actually a Fresno community college, but Fresno Community College is already taken. So it was originally just named after the street Willow International. So Guatemala, it's a scam. It's all a scam. So he was also in WWE. Yeah. Trump was in WWE. But that's the thing. Like, if you had never known that Trump was in WWE before, and your professor just told you, yeah, Trump was in WWE wrestling, probably most of you go like, okay, yeah, I believe that. Sounds like the kind of thing that Trump would do. And yeah, I'm actually not lying to you about it. Let's see if we get copyright striked here. Let me pause the recording. Okay, so there was Trump in WWE. If you're looking at home, you can look it up on YouTube. Yeah, no, it's a thing. It's a thing. Yeah. Vince McMahon doing the $1 Million Walk, and Donald Trump coming in with 2 women on his arms. And, yeah, true story. So yeah, but like probably most of you were like, yeah, okay, that's kind of it coheres with what I know. Whereas if I told you he did ballet, I'd be like, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna need to see some hyperlinks. I'm gonna need to see some books and references and things like that to believe you. Right? So we actually use coherence theory all the time, even if we don't claim to necessarily. Okay, so pragmatic theory of truth. Yeah, learn something new every day. Yeah, come to CSI 1 and watch presidents of the United States in wrestling matches. That's what we're here for. Okay, so pragmatic theory of truth. Truth is that which is beneficial. Okay, so the pragmatic theory is truth is that which benefits us, sort of. Okay, or one way that it's put is truth is the end of inquiry. So, like, let's say you do a scientific investigation, and you're trying to figure out if free will exists, right? And people have done scientific experiments trying to figure out if we have free will. A guy by the name of Libet at UCSF. I don't know if they use the French pronunciation or the English one, did a series of experiments where people would look at a thing spinning around on the screen, and you would hit a thing to stop it. And you would report when you decided to stop the thing. You know, okay, at 10 seconds I decided to stop it, and then I hit it there. And they had a brain scanner thingamajig on them, and they found that people actually decided to stop the thing slightly before they were aware that they decided to stop the thing. And so people have used Leib's experiment as evidence we do not have free will. Interestingly enough, Leibet said, no, my experiments demonstrate we have free will. Because there were some cases where we're like, okay, I'm going to push it. And then the will was like, no, wait. And then they didn't push it. And so he said, look, we have like these innate instincts, and we can like clamp them down. And so that experiment is the one you're going to hear the most when talking about free will. And most people don't know that the author of the study actually said, my study shows that we have free will, instead of the opposite. So to come to the point here for the pragmatic theory, truth is the end of inquiry. Like after you've done everything you can to investigate something, I want a 4K 120 hertz TV. That's true. 4K 120 hertz. Yeah, I actually bought a 4K 120 hertz about 2 months ago and returned it because it sucked. So it was the yeah. Was it the Sony? Yeah, they're sort of lying. This one. So the X85J, it's 120 hertz 4K. Nope. When you run it at 4K 120 hertz, it reduces the resolution on the screen. It does very drastic compression. And so like if you draw a straight line on the screen, it comes out like crooked, like this. So if you're watching videos, I guess it's okay, maybe. But 4K at 60 hertz is fine. And 1080p at 120 hertz is fine. But if you actually run it at 4K 120, it engages this compression scheme that, like, the text is unreadable, almost. There's bumps and divots on all the text, and it's just really garbage. So, yeah. Anyway. So, pragmatic theory. So, yeah, so let's say you investigate, and you just can't determine scientifically if free will exists or not. And this is actually the case that the founder, one of the founders of pragmatic theory, a guy by the name of William James, you know he's a hero because he has two first names, right? Like Oliver, John Oliver. So William James actually became depressed because he kept reading these scientific studies. This is about 100 some odd years ago, 120 years ago or so. And he kept reading these studies, and he's like, the universe is clockwork. And if the universe is clockwork, if all physics follow deterministic rules, that means the future is determined, and I don't have any choice, I don't have any control. It feels like I do. It feels like I have the illusion of control, but in reality, I'm going to, go to college here, I'm going to meet this chick and marry her, and then I'm going to die. And there's nothing I can do about it. I'm just a passenger along for the ride, because all the rules of physics are deterministic. This is before the development of quantum mechanics, right? Where we were like, nope, we were totally wrong about that. And so around that time, people were discovering radiation, and radiation violated the rules of physics as we knew it at the time, right? Because you just have a rock, and the rock's radiating heat, and you're like, that shouldn't be possible, right? Why is a rock just producing energy out of its own pocket, is the way that William James put it. And so he was like, all right, so maybe we don't know all the facts for science and all this stuff. So he became depressed after thinking about the future being fixed, right? He became very depressed for a couple of years. And then he talked himself out of his depression by saying, look, there's things we don't know in science yet, and we certainly haven't investigated free will yet, so I'm just going to choose to believe that we have free will. And impossible. Or what's the other one? The archives are incomplete from Star Wars. Hot Rock, allow me to introduce myself. Yeah, Kearney is speaking nonsense to me at this point because I lost what he was talking about. Okay, so pragmatic theory of truth. The pragmatic theory of truth is to believe that which is beneficial to you. That which is true is that which is beneficial. Okay, that's. Did you hear that, Tao? That's what I lost it all. So, William James said, I don't know if determinism is true. I don't know if it's true that the future is fixed and I have no control. I don't know if free will is true and I can be free to make my own decisions. I don't know which is true. So I'm going to choose to believe in free will because it's going to make me happy. Does that make sense now? So when we've kind of run to the end of science and there's like possibilities, then pick the thing that's going to benefit you the most, is kind of James's philosophy. Oh, your earbuds died. Okay. Well, I can't help you with that. All right. You can watch the recording. I am recording, right? Yes, I'm recording. Okay. So, that's the pragmatic theory of truth. Okay? And so, is gravity a force? Is it a curvature of space-time? Who cares? If you jump off a building, you die. Right? So it's true. You guys understand? That's the pragmatic theory of truth. Like, who cares if there's gravitons or not? You know what I mean? Like, we don't know if there's gravitons. You know? We don't know if, like, space is curved or if it's, like, you know, something else going on. Right? There's you know, if you look at, like, the spinny parts of the galaxy, the parts of the galaxy at the very end are spinning faster than they should. Right? So there's something we don't know yet. Right? But who cares? That's the pragmatist view. There's a guy by the name of Charles Sanders Peirce and William James who are the fathers of pragmatism. They're like, who cares? If you jump off a building, you'll die. So it's true. You know what I mean? Like, who cares what electricity is? You know, does electricity flow from positive to negative, negative to positive? If you grab onto two wires, you die. So, you know, don't do it. And that's why pragmatism became known as the American philosophy. You know, the first major school of thought from America. Which is like, you know, there's a lot of things we don't know, right? And it's quite possible we'll never know everything in science. You know, maybe there's always something more to explore. But in the meantime, you got to make a decision, you know? So it's kind of ties into what we talked about last time, right? It's like, all right, you know, I'm not going to wait until I'm 100 to find out if gravity is true or not. You know, I'm just going to act as if it is because it sure seems to be, you know? Some people think this is anti-scientific, but it's not. It's really important to point that out too. People are like, well, you just ignore whatever you want and just believe whatever you want. No. No. Like, that's not what he's saying. He's saying is like, when you've come to the end of science, right? When you've come to the end of what you can find out, a lot of times it's still not certain. Sometimes it is. You know, sometimes it is. We're pretty certain George Washington was the first president of the United States. So you should believe that. You know, but what if you come to the end of your investigation and there's two possibilities that are equally supported? Pick the one that's going to make you happy. You know? So. I think the point of this presentation is whether things are true to an extent and if there's evidence about it. Yeah, I mean, in general, all of these things are based on evidence, right? Like, you have evidence for something being true. Correspondence theory, somebody's like, look, there's snow. You know, look, there's a screen cleaner on my bookshelf. Coherence theory, it's like, does this thing match what I know to be true already? I know these things to be true. And does the new evidence match what I know? If it does match, I accept it. If it doesn't match, I tend to reject it unless you can present me a lot of evidence for it. Pragmatic theory is, you know, you investigate as much as you can, and then once you get to the end, you just got to make a decision. Because indecision is oftentimes worse than making a decision in life. Right? It's like what we're talking about with Clausewitz, right? You know, if you wait for perfect information, you get doubt and paralysis. And then your army dies. You know what I mean? Like, at a certain point, you just have to, like, make a choice and be like, all right, we're doing this. We're crossing the bridge, you know? Yeah, remember, indecision is a decision too. Right? Like, if you're not certain which God is correct, you know, should I be a Buddhist or Hindu or Sikh or Baha'i or Christian or Jewish or, you know, I'm just going to wait until I can be certain. Yeah, guess what? You just made a decision, you know? You made a decision to be indecisive. Being indecisive is a decision too. So I'm just not going to go to anyone. All right, that's your decision then. No, I didn't make a decision. That was your decision. You're not going to go. You know? So, it's what William James calls it's a forced decision. Because if you withhold judgment, that's your judgment. You know what I mean? Like, if you choose, I'm just not going to go to any churches, okay, that's your choice. You know? You can't not make a choice, because not making a choice is a choice. Yeah, I highly recommend reading William James. He's a pretty smart guy. He was a father of American psychology. He was a professor at Harvard. Cool dude. I like his writings, even if I don't agree with him. But I don't agree with anybody always. So it's okay. It's not really criticism. Okay, so consensus theory of truth. These are different ways of determining if something's true. Okay, these are different ways of determining something's true. And most people, whether they know it or not, they kind of stick to one of them. You know, and if your theory of truth doesn't match their theory of truth, you're going to have a hard time communicating with them, right? And if you've ever disagreed with somebody online and they just, you know, you just can't get through to them, a lot of the times the problem isn't up here, like arguing about, you know, if Fresno farmers were responsible for Japanese internment. The actual problem is at a lower level. Like, what is your theory of truth? You know, if you're using a different theory of truth, then like the argument up top here is not going to be productive at all. What if you meet in the middle? Oftentimes, like you have to go down. You have to like go down some levels. Be like, all right, so what do you think it means to be true? Because here's what I think, and here's what you think. I go, well, if that's your theory, then I'm going to present my argument to you using your terms. You know, so if you're a pragmatist, I'm going to present. Like, you know, does God exist? Okay, I'm going to present you a pragmatic theory for God existing. Who cares if he actually exists or not? If you believe in God, you live 7 years longer on average. Really? There. That's a pragmatic argument for God. Has nothing to do with, you know, all these philosophical arguments and all this kind of stuff. You can present a pragmatic argument, because if that's the theory of truth they use, then you have to, you know, if you want to work with them, you have to. Okay, I'm going to rephrase my arguments using that. So that's why I explain all this stuff, because when you debate other people, and we're going to be having more discussions through the semester, you have to you know, kind of see where somebody's coming from. And in fact, on your later discussions, you're actually going to say what your theory of truth is that you're using for the assignment. It doesn't have to be the same one every time. It doesn't have to be the one you prefer the most. But when you do discussions in the future, you're going to be saying, I'm going to be using the consensus theory of truth or whatever. Okay? So, consensus theory of truth. Something is true because people agree it to be true. Okay? So, for example, the definitions are often consensus theory. Right? And who gets to decide definitions is a hot issue in our society right now. It's a hot issue in our society. Who gets to determine what words mean? That is controversial right now. Believe me, it's controversial. It's very, you don't even see it maybe some of the times, but it's very hot and very controversial right now. Who chooses what the words in a dictionary mean? Do dictionaries get to determine what words mean? Or do people get to determine? And if people get to determine what a word means, which people? The people that the word applies to? The majority of people in a country, a small minority of people that are active and allowed, who gets to determine what words mean? And they're all mostly consensus theory, but the question is who, right? Like if you take biology, your biology professor will say, here's some vocab words, you know, here's what genetic, you know, something means, you know, deoxyribonucleic acid, you know, like we got these terms, you know, and everybody in biology generally uses the same terms because that's how you communicate. But who determines what the terms are, you know? Is Pluto a planet? Right? Is Pluto a planet? It used to be. It's not now. Did Pluto change? Nope. The consensus changed. Who determined it was a rock? It's a microplanet. What is it? It's a quasi-planet. It's a mini-planet. Dwarf planet. It's a dwarf planet. So now Pluto's not a real planet. It's a dwarf planet now or something like that, right? And what changed? Well, they had a meeting of the International Astronomical Union or something like that. I don't remember the exact name. and they voted on it. So it's not a planet anymore, right? Consensus. And so in that case, the people who decided that Pluto was not a planet was this one group of astronomers meeting in Europe this one time. They had to vote. It's not a planet anymore. There you go. So I don't know if you've ever seen the Rick and Morty episode where Jerry, the father, is like, Pluto's a planet, and like the native Plutonians come and they take him back to Pluto, and he just keeps saying, Pluto's a planet, and it's like, yeah. But that shows you how consensus theory works, right? So if you were to say Pluto is a planet in your science class, your professor's like, wrong, and he'd mark you off, or she would mark you off, a point. No, Pluto's not a planet. You are wrong. That is a false statement you made. Well, how do you know? It's consensus. Okay. So, so definitions are where we use consensus theory a lot, and also a lot of times when we're talking about ethics, we use consensus theory. Well, everybody tends to agree that lying is bad. Therefore, lying is bad. Everybody dislikes pain. Therefore, pain is evil. That's Socrates, actually. Which is actually a mistake I think Socrates made. Because people can be wrong about things, you know what I mean? So, in ethics, oftentimes people will just be like, look, everybody thinks murder's wrong, so murder's wrong. It is true that murder is wrong because we all agree it's wrong. Or most people agree it's wrong. Yeah. So, that's consensus theory. In Soviet Union, the Soviet Union would often operate on consensus. So if you didn't agree with the consensus, you were bad. Straight to Gulag, you know what I mean? So the Central Committee everybody would try to agree on things, and then they'd be like, all right, this is the case. This is truth, you know, kind of thing. All right. So that's consensus. And so scientific consensus, you know, is global warming real, you know, that kind of stuff, operate on a consensus basis. It doesn't mean everybody agrees, but it means there's a general agreement that something is true, therefore it's true. That's consensus theory of truth. Deflationary theory, there's not much to be said about deflationary theory. Deflationary theory of truth, basically just you're expressing an emotion. So people that are deflationary theorists don't believe that there's really truth in the universe. There's no such thing as truth. It's an emotional expression. The school of thought's called Emotivism, where if somebody's like, Fresno State is the best college in the universe, and so he's like, that's true. Like, you're not saying, you can correspond Fresno State to reality and you have some criteria or whatever. No, you're expressing an emotion. I agree with you that Fresno State is the best. Okay? Do you guys understand deflationary theory? So, if you say 2 + 2 = 4 is true, then you might as well just say 2 + 2 = 4. I think 2 + 2 = 4. You're just expressing an opinion on the matter. I just think 2 + 2 = 4. So saying true basically does nothing other than just, I agree. Yeah, that's true. I agree. Okay. So not a lot to be said about that. There are a lot of emotivists out there who tend to be radically skeptical of the notion of truth. I've always been curious how they do like science or history or math or anything like that. And if you don't think truth exists, like, how do you write a proof? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. They probably have some sort of like way of processing that in their heads. I'm not really sure how that works though. It's just my opinion that 2 + 2 = 4. I don't know. I'm not. But in all seriousness, there are a lot of emotivists out there who are just radically skeptical of objective truth, that think that all truth is subjective. It's true for me, it might not be true for you, that kind of stuff. And that sentence only makes sense. Have you guys heard that before? It's true for me, but it's not true for you. Are you? Because that's like kind of a thing, right? Have you heard that? Like somebody say, "Well, it's true for me, but it's not. It's not true for you." Can consensus theory be ad populum? Well, if you believe in consensus theory, there is no such thing as ad populum. If you don't believe in consensus theory, it absolutely is ad populum, right? McDonald's makes the best fries because everybody agrees it does, right? And somebody's like, no, that's wrong. The fries taste like, chemical garbage, especially when cold. Sorry, they're the best-selling fry in America, therefore they're the best fry. It's true. It's consensus theory. And so that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that like when people have different theories of truth, like talking across those borders can be really, really tough, right? Yeah, because a lot of people would say there's an ad populum fallacy. An ad populum fallacy is something is true because everybody agrees it's true. Unless you're a consensus theorist. If you're a consensus theorist, yes, that's correct. Something is true because we agree it to be true. Dinosaurs and men lived at the same time. Most people agree it's true, therefore it's true. But no, look at the fossil record. The dinosaurs and people were millions of years apart. Don't care. We all agree it's true, therefore it's true. And so there's, it's hard. It's a hard and dicey issue because people have different views of truth. And your assignment due on Monday is just to write. No, I'll just give you a little quiz on these. I'll just see if you can understand. I'll put up a statement, and then you have to identify if the author is using consensus, coherence, or correspondence. And I apologize, they all start with co. If I'm not careful, I will confuse these three. Correspondence, coherence, and consensus all start with co. I am sorry. I didn't name them. Do we have school on Monday? Yes, we don't. Wednesday. The quiz will be on Wednesday. I'll put up six statements, and you just have to identify which school of thought they come from. Okay? This is true because... Yeah. And these are the kinds of questions I like putting on the midterm, because understanding the different theories of truth is actually really important. One last theory of truth is the Marxist theory of truth, which we see all the time in politics. And the way it's expressed is that which is true is that which helps the revolution, the communist revolution. That which is false is that which hinders the revolution. But it doesn't have to have anything to do with Marxism at all. If you look at politics, that which is true is that which helps my party. That which is false is that which hinders my party. Right? It's like pulling teeth to get some people to express a positive view of the other team because it's just wrong. It's false. There's a right-wing talk show guy named Mark Levine whose byline when he signs off is like, "We are right, they're wrong. This truth cannot be broken." Like that's just how he signs off. Go to a commercial break. We're right, they're wrong. This truth cannot be broken. And it's like, is that guy ever going to say something good about Joe Biden? Probably not. Contrariwise, Rachel Maddow, I don't recall her ever saying anything good about Trump, ever. Right? Like, when you have somebody who is invested into politics and my side being right, then what is true are things that make my side look good, and that which is false are things that make my side look wrong. And so they just refuse to accept things that are opposed to our team, And so in Soviet Russia, Labor Day, you won't have much homework. You'll just do a little quiz. And so this is mostly a quote, actually. So in Soviet Russia, they had a newspaper called Pravda. They're the main party apparatus newspaper is called Pravda, which means truth. And Pravda, it means greater truth. And greater truth is the truth of the Marxist revolution and the inevitability of Marxism spreading on the world, which turned out to be wrong. And then there's little truth, which is the factual truth, right? And so if you've ever studied like what happened at Chernobyl, there was a problem when greater truth of like the inevitability and superiority of the communist Marxist Leninist system conflicted with the ground truth of there's a nuclear meltdown going on over here. And Soviet system, communist systems in general have a trouble with that, right? Because there's managers will report everything's fine, our production's great, because they have to, because that's the greater truth. And the little truth is, none of the things coming out of the factory work, things like that. So they tend to brush aside factual details as much as possible until reality comes and kind of punches them in the face. Zybook's your only homework, and then you got a quiz on Wednesday. Yeah, so Marxist theory of truth is that which is true is that which agrees with us politically. And that which is false is that which opposes us politically. Okay. So these are the things you're going to be quizzed on. Do you have any questions about correspondence, coherence, pragmatic, consensus, deflationary, Marxist? I called it 5 theories of truth. You might notice there's 6 on there. So I'll let you guess which one I think isn't a real theory of truth. Will the quiz be posted today? Yeah, I'll probably have it up during my break right now. I'll knock it out real fast. Any questions about these? 1 hour to learn 6 theories of truth. Like I said, epistemology is normally a semester. We're hitting it in, I think, 2 classes. Coffee. Will it be timed? Don't go to Pizza Factory, you got COVID. No. It is multiple choice. Yeah. It'll be multiple choice. Basically, there'll be a sentence and you pick which one of the 6 it is. Okay. Is the PowerPoint in Canvas? Yes, it is. I think it still has the light background instead of the night background, but yeah, same thing. Is it timed? I'll give you like an hour or something like that to do 6 questions. That seems reasonable. Yeah. Okay, seem fair? Okay, so have a wonderful extended vacation, everyone. Make sure you go out and play the Laser Zombies. Available now on itch.io for a grand total of $0. And I'll see you guys on Monday. Okay?